If you are producing random content and getting random results, one of the things that you can implement is content pillars into your content strategy. Using your content pillars helps you really simplify your content creation process, helps you better identify topics that are of interest to your audience, and it helps you really stay strategically aligned with your unique value propositions, products and services, and marketing goals. So in today's video, I want to talk about content pillars, how to get started, how to identify them, and how you can start incorporating them into your planning today. Let's break this down. What are content pillars? Content pillars are 3 to 5 topics that you consistently curate and talk about in your content marketing. So these are 3 to 5 topics that are of interest to your audience and that you go and discuss in depth. Content pillars are sometimes referred to as content buckets and content categories. So you might use them or hear them interchangeably, but I will refer to them as content pillars. I personally like the word content pillars more because it really grounds you in a strong foundation around the topics that you're talking about. Some of the mistakes that people often make when identifying their content pillars is that they think the content pillars are educate, entertain. You probably have heard these. Yes, these are aspects of your content pillars, but you're talking about the content like topics, right? So you can always make something educational, something informative, something, humorous, entertaining, right? But it's done within a main topic. Being entertaining is not the main topic. You're being entertaining about a certain topic. And I don't necessarily agree with it. I feel that you have a topic and then you make it informative. You have a topic and you make it entertaining. So it's just your approach to it. But you still ground yourself on one main topic. By the way, if you are new here, my name is Nancy and I make videos about content strategy, tips, and tutorials, and ways to simplify and streamline your content marketing efforts. So if that interests you, make sure you like and subscribe, and also leave me a question on a topic that you'd like me to answer next week. So why would you want to identify your content pillars? One of the main reasons you want to identify your content pillars is because it helps you really develop a strong brand voice and it helps you stay consistent with your brand's messaging. Content pillars are really helpful because they give you the clarity that you need to ensure that you're staying on message, that you're talking about topics that are relevant to your target audience, and that you're also creating content around topics that complement your products, your services, and that complement your overall marketing and business goals. Essentially, by using the same content pillars over and over, you start to build trust, you start to build an authority around the topic, and your audience starts to build a long trust with you because they're like, hey, this person is always sharing a very consistent stream of content related to this topic, and they find different angles and approaches to it, and you start to really build a strong following and trust with your audience. And the beauty of content pillars is that there's always topics or themes that you can incorporate into your content. And I will talk about that later in this video. Before we get to that, I do want to talk about how to determine your content pillars. Identifying your content pillars is a very intentional and thoughtful exercise. Oftentimes you kind of have a hunch on what your content pillar should be, but they kind of need a little bit of refinement. So they're very focused and strategically aligned. There are 3 steps that I want to talk about that can help you really refine and narrow in on your content pillars. The first one is to think about your expertise. What is something that you frequently talk about that you have figured out or really thoroughly understand that you can talk about in depth with your audience? That's one way that you can get started. Think about those topics, write those down, your expertise. The next thing you want to do is you want to write down the topics that are of interest to your target audience. Think about your target audience and the topics that they would find interesting. And then finally, the last item on this list is to think about your offers, your products, or services. What are they related to that have a common theme? As you write these topics down, start to kind of group them together and you can kind of surface common themes, common topics, and that can really help you narrow in. I find that 3 to 5 is usually a good spot to get started with. If you have more than that, you might find that you start to overlook a certain topic and that you kind of want to talk about it, but you find that you end up focusing on maybe 3. That's why I aim to suggest to have about 3 to 5 topics that you talk about on a consistent basis. Another additional thing that can help you refine your content pillars is to think about something that you might specialize in. Is there something that defines your unique value proposition that helps you stand out in the market compared to other people out there on the internet? So if you have a certain specialty, something that you feel is your superpower, write that down and see if it falls into a certain content pillar. So if you're feeling like you need some ideas and you want to get some inspiration on how to identify your content pillars, I'm going to use an example of, say, a wellness coach. A wellness coach might say, okay, I specialize in nutrition, in fitness, and healthy living. What could be some of my content pillars? I may have just mentioned a few of them there, but thinking about the topics that might be of interest to this wellness coach target audience, some of them might be mental wellness, exercise, nutrition, and mindful habits. And so by incorporating these content pillars into the content marketing mix, this allows a wellness coach to be able to curate these topics on a consistent basis while helping to build her authority and trust with her audience online. They would also be complementary to her offers and services. So I have good news. If you feel like content pillars feel constraining to you and you still have some other topics that you want to incorporate, content pillars have the flexibility to really allow you to incorporate subtopics and themes. And I'll get into how you can make sure that you stay aligned with your content pillars while also having the flexibility to incorporate these subtopics and themes. So here's an example. You have your content pillars, and then from your content pillars, you have subtopics. And as an example, if you were to take, say, the example of the wellness coach, right? Or like a nutritionist, for example. If a content pillar is nutrition, some of the subtopics ideas could be anti-inflammatory foods, nutrition labels and ingredients, resources about nutrition, such as books, apps, or podcasts, or other topics like meal planning and intuitive eating. So do you see how you took the main content pillar of nutrition and then created subtopics that are complementary to that? Now, if you feel that you kind of have a better sense of your content pillars but want to do some additional research, some of the things that you can do is take your content pillar and enter it into Google or Pinterest to see what other topics and related themes come up. That can be a great way for you to get other inspiration and ideas for you to talk about in your content. Aside from doing that type of research, you can always find other content ideas by interacting with your audience, finding out some of the frequently asked questions that they may have, and finding new approaches and new perspectives on ways that you can talk about that topic consistently. So where do you go from here? Now that you have started to kind of shape and identify your content pillars, you can start incorporating it into your other content, whether it's your blog posts, YouTube videos, podcasts, social media posts. You can start to ground yourself in the content pillar and then identify topics that you want to share. If you would like me to talk about in a future video how to use your content pillars and how to plan that out in a content calendar, let me know. I can go more in depth and create a video focused all around that. If you want more ways to organize and streamline your content marketing efforts, check out this video here. And until next time, keep creating, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks so much.